May 20th, 2020 meeting of the Norfolk City Council. We'll call the meeting to order, and to begin, we'll call your attention to the Open Meetings Act posted here in the council chambers. If you now please join me for rising for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Brianna.
Granquist, Lange,
Here.
Merrill, Wiebelhaus,
Here.
Murin,
Here.
Jackson,
Here.
Clausen,
Here.
File.
Here.
Okay, with that, I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I declare conflict with the consent agenda per item 9.
Okay, motion and second. If no discussion, roll call, please.
Lange,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Clausen,
Yes.
File.
Yes.
Voting in the affirmative, Lange, Murin, Jackson, Clausen, File. Abstaining from the vote, Wiebelhaus. Motion carries.
Okay, item number 6, I would look for a motion to approve the full agenda.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. If no discussion, roll call, please.
Lange,
Yes.
Wiebelhaus,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Clausen,
Yes.
File.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, that takes us to item number 17 on the council agenda under public hearings and related action. I will open this public hearing at the request of the City of Norfolk to consider a zoning change from OD Office District to R3 Multiple Family Residential District on property generally located at Hespy Drive and Country Club Road. And to kick off this discussion, we'll hear from Valerie Grimes, our city planner.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This before you, the city is actually requesting this. By code, the city can change zoning on property. And this came to light here about a month or two ago because in 2016, the commission and council actually changed the zoning district of OD to make multifamily a conditional use instead of an outright permit. And so what happens is if something happens like a tornado or a fire or something like that, 50% or more of a apartment or a townhome gets destroyed, they would not be able to rebuild under the OD without a zone change or a CUP. And so since this came to light, the request we thought would be reasonable to then put this into R3 zoning, which is what their use actually is anyway. We're not quite sure who picked OD years ago when this was put in place, but all the uses on this property actually falls under R3 multifamily.
Okay, thank you, Val. So the change would essentially bring this into its existing use, bring this area into an existing use.
Correct.
Any questions for Val on this? This is a public hearing, so anyone wishing to make comment can do so now. Hearing no one, I will ask for a Planning Commission report, please.
The Norfolk Planning Commission held a public hearing on July 7th, 2020 at the request of the City of Norfolk to consider a zoning change from OD Office District to R3 Multiple Family Residential District on property generally located at Hespy Drive and Country Club Road. Planning Commission recommends approval of the request with a 9-0 vote.
Okay, thank you, Brianna. With that, we'll move to item number 18. First, I'll formally close the hearing and move to item number 18. I would look for a motion to consider ordinance number 5674, approving a zoning change from OD to R3 on property generally located at Hespy Drive and Country Club Road.
Your Honor, I'd move consideration of ordinance number 5674 on first reading.
Second that.
Okay, motion and second. Any discussion on this, council? Okay. Hearing none, short title, please.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Madison County, Nebraska, amending the zoning district map of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and providing for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay, roll call, please.
Langy,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Clausen,
Yes.
File.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance 5674 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I'd move that we suspend the rules and pass ordinance number 5674 on second and third reading.
Second.
Okay, motion and second to suspend the rules and approve on second and third readings. No discussion. Roll call, please.
Langy,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Clausen.
Yes.
File.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance 5674 carries on second and third.
Item number 19. I will open this public hearing at the request of the Greater Norfolk Economic Development Foundation to consider a zoning change from Agricultural District to I-1 Light Industrial District on property generally located north of Omaha Avenue and east of 37th Street. And to kick off this discussion, again, Val, please.
Thank you. This property is approximately 140 acres in the northeast corner of South 37th and Omaha Avenue. The request from I-1, or from Ag to I-1 is compliant with the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan calls for mixed commerce, which could go either C1, C3 to I-1. If Andy wants to add anything in, or if there's anybody here.
Okay, another step in the creation of the business park. Any discussion or questions, council? This is a public hearing, so anyone wishing to make comment can do so now. Okay, hearing no one. Planning Commission report.
The Norfolk Planning Commission held a public hearing on July 7th, 2020, at the request of Greater Norfolk Economic Development Foundation to consider a zoning change from A, Agricultural District to I-1, Light Industrial District, on property located north of Omaha Avenue and east of 37th Street. The Planning Commission recommends approval of the request with a 9-0 vote.
Thank you. With that, I'll close the hearing and move to item number 20. Entertain a motion to consider ordinance number 5675, approving a zoning change from Ag to I-1 on property generally located north of Omaha Avenue and east of 37th Street.
Your Honor, I'd move for consideration of ordinance number 5675.
Second that, Your Honor.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion on this, council, or questions? Hearing none, short title, please.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Madison County, Nebraska, amending the zoning district map of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and providing for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay, roll call.
Langy,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Clausen,
Yes.
File.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance 5675 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, as there's no opposition to this, and it's moving forward with that shovel-ready sites down there, I'd move that we suspend the rules and pass ordinance number 5675 on second and third reading.
Okay, motion and second to suspend the rules and approve on second and third readings. If no discussion, roll call, please.
Langy,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Clausen,
Yes.
File.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance 5675 carries on second and third.
Okay, that moves us to our regular agenda. Item number 21 would look for a motion to consider resolution number 2020-28, approving the final plat, subdivision agreement, and post-construction stormwater management plan, maintenance agreement, and easement of Bradford Business Park subdivision.
Your Honor, I move consideration of resolution 2020-28.
Second.
Motion and a second, and for some background on this, Val, please.
Yes, thank you. Because you passed the zone change just in the last item on all 3 readings, we can see the plat now. So what is being final platted is essentially about the west half of the 140 acres that you zone changed. And it'll contain 22 lots, and I believe you saw the redevelopment plan earlier at the CDA, so they all are coming together at the same time, if there's any questions.
Okay, thank you, Val. Any questions? It's a process, and we see that it continues to unfold here for creation of the Bradford Business Park, which, as a reminder for the public, is a site that will host shovel-ready property that's under control of the Greater Norfolk Economic Development Foundation for the purposes of new business recruitment and expansion and development, which is a very good step for the community moving forward in our aims to bring new jobs and good paying jobs to the community. So I do commend the work that staff has done in conjunction with the foundation in this regard. There is already strong interest in this park, including recruiting new businesses to town. And so we're excited to see this move forward and get underway. And a lot of the early interest seems to be in areas of the economy that are emerging with new demand across the new economy, and areas that our region has specific competitive advantages in. So again, this is a very exciting project for us all. Any other discussion or questions on this item before us, Council?
Well, Your Honor, I think one thing that it gives us a tool that we haven't had for decades. We haven't had it, and it will definitely be a spurring element to help our growth with the city. So,
yeah, well said. An ongoing challenge for business recruitment is a shortage of land that's available with the right infrastructure to host new sites. So this will be a big step forward. If no further discussion, roll call, please.
Langy,
yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Clausen,
Yes.
File.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Resolution 2020-28 is adopted.
Takes us to item number 22. I'd look for a motion to consider approval of a professional services consultant agreement with Midwest Right-of-Way Services Incorporated for the Benjamin Avenue Phase 1 appraisals project for a maximum fee of $101,870.
I'll make the motion, Your Honor.
Motion is second. And Steve Ramus, our city engineer, could you give us some background on this, please?
Mayor and Council, this is a consulting agreement for as part of the Benjamin Avenue project. That project has reached about 50% design. We're at the point now where we're getting ready to cut right-of-way seats. So we've been able to identify those parcels where we'll need some additional right-of-way and or permanent temporary easements for construction purposes. The bulk of this services agreement, about $91,000 of this, is for purposes of appraisal. So getting the title information from the Register of Deeds office, and then actually preparing the appraisal report for each of those parcels. Phase 2 would be the actual negotiations for that right-of-way or easement. We do use Midwest Right-of-Way. We've used for several years. They do use a local appraiser for that. So most of this contract is local service.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any questions?
Is this cost included in our overall budget cost for that project?
Yes.
And the timeline for completion of this phase?
I would expect about 2.5 to 3 months to complete this phase. It'll be 4 to 6 weeks. There's 61 parcels. Is going to take the title company quite a while. I'd say 4 to 6 weeks to generate the title reports, and then about 4 to 6 weeks for some of the appraisal process. So I'm thinking 3 months.
Will we still be in a, I mean, this will not slow down for going out for bid or anything yet, or? So we can still be on a timeline to start construction next season?
This process certainly has that potential, depending on how those negotiations go for those easements and right-of-way. I would tell you that as a function of getting to the 50% design, you know, we've continued to work on the geometry, lane widths and so forth, and I think we've found a place with the project that's going to reduce the amount of permanent right-of-way that we have to acquire quite substantially. I'd say 98% of this is going to be just easement, permanent easement or temporary easement, a little bit of right-of-way, permanent right-of-way.
So I guess, I don't know if that,
There's certainly the potential.
are we still hoping that we can be going out for bid by the end of this year to start construction in 2021?
Yeah, the goal is construction late summer 21, 2022 construction. 21 will be a lot of utility relocation.
Okay.
So as we move through the rest of the documents, hopefully once we're about 95%, we can pull the trigger with NPPD and other utilities that need to be relocated. As part of getting to this 50% plan, and a lot of that was looking at those utilities as well and where we could reduce the relocation of NPPD. Again, that's a fairly substantial cost to the project. So we're kind of threading through the corridor to minimize right-of-way impacts, minimize utility impacts as well.
All right.
And there'll be some time on NPPD side, but they've been working on this now for about 6 months too.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? It's a necessary step in moving forward with a big project, and just as a refresher for the public, this is a complete reconstruction project of Benjamin Avenue from 1st to 13th. So large, complex project with many moving parts. You have to start somewhere. This project actually started some time ago with planning, as Steve said, at about 50%, and that triggers this part of the process, which will take some time and some work, but allows us to move forward and hopefully meet construction timelines. So, any other questions or discussion, Council? Hearing none, roll call.
Langy,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Clausen,
Yes.
File.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Motion carries.
Item 23 would look for a motion to consider resolution number 2020-29, approving a sidewalk waiver requested by Dave Remter for property located at 1500 North Eastwood Avenue and 1510 North Eastwood Avenue.
I present for consideration of sidewalk waiver at 1510 North Eastwood Avenue.
Second that, Your Honor.
Motion and second. And Val, could you give us some background on this request, please?
Yes, thank you. These two pieces of property are on North Eastwood, like it says. That is the road that kind of cuts Woodland Park in half. And so this would be on the east side of North Eastwood, where Realtor Jim Schmidt here a few years ago put 3-acre lots lining North Eastwood. These two lots are the two southern lots of those 7 or 8 that I think he platted. And so earlier in the consent agenda, it was requested that the side yard easements of these two lots be released because the people want to build across the property lines on both 3-acre lots. And because Eastwood does not have sidewalks going along there, they are requesting a sidewalk waiver for both of those lots. And I believe the applicants are here tonight if you have questions.
Okay. Thank you, Val. Any questions or discussion, Council?
I just noticed the application says 2020 forward. Is this years requested for the waiver. So is this forever?
Yeah, most people would request perpetual. And the resolution that is attached to the city council agenda came from Planning Commission that says it's a temporary until the sidewalks are installed in the budding area. And we have been putting in that provisions and grading for future sidewalk installation, so you'll be remain free from landscape and other land development that would prohibit the sidewalk in the future. And then it always is the city council reserves the right to order it in at any time. So that is what is before you tonight.
Val, can you give us an idea of the planning commission discussion on this? Do you recall what the vote was?
I believe it was a unanimous vote to provide the waiver to them with those stipulations that you're not going to put anything in the future place of the sidewalk if it is ordered in and sidewalks become part of Northeast Wood. They thought that since there wasn't sidewalk along Northeast Wood currently, and there isn't a lot of sidewalk within Woodland Park in general, that it was okay to provide a recommendation to you to say okay to the waiver.
Okay, thank you.
How far south of Meadow Lane is this acreage? I know you said the lots were south of what, but I think maybe they're north.
Well, if you are at Northeast Wood and Benjamin
Okay.
corner,
Mm-hmm.
so it's the northeast corner, and there's 2 existing houses already, so then it's 2 lots above those.
Okay. Do we know how far south of Meadow Lane? I know there's a sidewalk there, that's what I'm asking.
From Meadow Lane, you said?
Yes.
It's about 1,800 feet.
Okay, quite a ways.
I just have an issue with some of this because when you go forward with it, we've had a lot of sidewalks we've been trying to get put in, and they've had waivers, they don't get it done. And to say, well, at some point in time in the forward, when they do have a sidewalk to go in around, we'll go ahead and put one in. But if they sell it before that time, then you've got an issue with a new owner that had no idea of what was going on, to where it's a code to put it in. I think we kind of talked in the past about not doing sidewalk waivers anymore.
I don't know the history, I don't know how
I
long
believe
we-
though, that
Yeah,
if you do sell the house, you have to submit, that'd be full disclosure, so
Sure.
you'd have to share that.
But where do we get to a point where we may have granted waivers or our predecessors, maybe a 10-year, and has that even been enforced if the 10
Right,
years
no,
is
that's-
up?
That's an issue.
That's,
Yeah.
that's an issue. No offense to the folks here
No.
requesting the waiver. I'm glad they're building, and that's good to have development, but I just kind of wonder when we have to maybe stop
I would note that we continue to have the same conversation over and over
every time.
on sidewalk
Planning
waiver.
Commission keeps sending it forward, so
Yeah,
until they stop doing that and say we're not wavering, then we will continue to have that conversation.
Val, do you know about how many lineal foot of sidewalk we're talking about?
Rough estimate is probably about 350 feet across both lots because they are large 3-acre lots.
the application says concrete all the way from street to the house and that. Is there gonna be a concrete driveway? Oh, there is. You're gonna concrete all the way out to the road? Okay. You're doing a lot of concrete. Thank you.
Any further discussion, council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Langy,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
No.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
No?
Clausen,
Yes.
File.
No.
Voting in the affirmative, Langy, Murin, Clausen. Voting in opposition, Weeblehouse, Jackson, and File. Resolution 2020-29 is not adopted.
Okay, takes us to item number 24. Would look for a motion to consider approval of a letter agreement from the Nebraska Central Railroad for the rehabilitation of the 4th Street Railroad crossing for a cost of $51,059.23.
I'll make the motion, Your Honor. Second that.
Motion second, and Steve Ramus, some background on this, please.
Mayor and Council, this is sort of part of our Brosh Avenue reconstruction project. For about the last 3 months or so, we've been in conversation with the railroad as to whether or not it was appropriate to put in a new grade crossing there, just north of Brosh on 4th. We did come to, this is kind of their standard agreement. We did finally kind of nail them down and negotiate. I wouldn't say we negotiated, but discussed the terms of how that would happen. The $51,059.23 would be city responsibility, and that is for materials costs. The actual installation cost of an additional $65,336.34 would be a cost borne by the railroad. We think it's be a good opportunity to do this. We are reconstructing 4th all the way from Brosh north up to the railroad. We were going to stop just a little bit short there, but this gives us an opportunity to replace that grade crossing. It's currently the old hard rubber style crossing. This would be a concrete style expansion system, very similar to what we have at 5th Street and Brosh. So, any questions?
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any questions?
I would indicate that as a function of cost on this, as we've been working through these first couple segments of Brosh Avenue, we have seen, I'm going to estimate, somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000 in cost savings. So we would certainly be able to get this work done within the original budget.
Okay. Good to know. Any questions or discussion, council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Langy,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes?
Clausen,
Yes.
File.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
Okay, takes us to item number 25. I would look for a motion to consider approval to award a contract to Beckenhauer Construction Incorporated of Norfolk, Nebraska for the River Point Square and 3rd Street Alley project for an amount of $595,999.
I'll make the motion, Your Honor.
Second?
Motion second. And Steve, once again, can you give us some background on this, please?
Mayor and Council, about a year ago, we bid this project. We had one bid. It was Daco, local contractor, came in at $670,000. We rejected it, went back to the design table, and one of the things we did was we actually added the alley there between 3rd and 4th to the project, about $125,000 on that project. We made some changes in the way we were going to do the construction there on that pocket park. Went out for bids again this spring. We did just receive one bid. Again, a local contractor, Beckenhauer, was our sole bidder. But we saw better results this time. The $595,999 again reflects the addition. It's about $65,000 less than last year's bid, and it includes an additional $130,000 worth of work on the alley. So substantially better bid. This puts us down. We're probably floating just a little bit over budget here, but it puts us very close to budget. We've got some dollars that we can apply there to get the project funded and move it forward. There is one piece out there that we're still looking at. We did bid this as install only on some fixed furniture components, some fixed benches, some fixed tables and stuff out there. We're still looking at how to get those in. We can bring them to the project a little bit cheaper, just purchasing them ourselves and having the contractor install them. That was the way the base bid was. And so we'll probably go that route with it, but there's a potential we would come back and ask for a change order to include the fixed furnishings as part of the contract. But right now, again, we've got a balanced project here. We're pretty excited to move this project forward. I think it's going to be a big improvement in that area as we look at the Brosh Avenue reconstruction and other activity in that downtown area.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any questions?
So Steve, you said the bid now looks like it includes a lot of furniture on your Schedule D for the landscape. Is that what you're saying, we could purchase at a reduced cost, and would the change order be less?
Right, so what I'm not showing here, and I apologize for that, the fixed table in the original bid, so what happened here is a function of just the single bidder. Beckenauer, not necessarily used to the line item bids, they had put included and just included the cost within their mobilization. We asked them to break those costs out so we could see those, and you'll see here for the installation. So the fixed tables is installation only at $300 and $520 a piece.
All right.
The fixed table with game top, again, that is installation only for $173. The fixed receptacle and the fixed ash urn, again, those are install only. So we would have to provide those.
Mm-hmm. And I see that once the adjustments were made, the alley portion, the $122,899, some change. And then the River Point for all of that, just simple math, $473 roughly.
You know, and what's not included in those is the design fees.
Yeah, I understand. We've already approved payment on those
Yeah.
in the past. So, if I recall, we have a $30,000 grant we just got recently. I thought and then 230, what I found in the notes
Correct.
from way back, because it's been going on a while. So we got 260,000 in grants. And I take the alley out because I consider that just a street improvement or an alley improvement. Towards that project, I'm just kind of wondering where in your budget are you pulling out the other 215,000?
Yep, no, I can run through those budget numbers. We've got 230,000, 230, 250 in the CDBG grant. We've got 330 in Chaff Highway allocation funds for the alley and the work on 2nd Street. So anything that's sidewalk and in
3rd Street, you mean?
on 3rd Street and Norfolk Avenue is Chaff dollars.
Okay.
So we have the Chaff, we have the alley, we have park enhancement funds that we've been carrying forward of 15,000 from 18-19. We've got some landscape beautification dollars in there, about 50. Park budget line 87, infrastructure at 30,700, and the NRD grant at 30,000. So we're $685,000.
In those chaff funds, you figured those in
Yeah,
back in your budget for this project,
correct.
not taking it from somewhere else or anything like that?
Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to comment on that because it seems like anytime these projects are discussed, I hear questions about, well, why is the city spending money on parks when they could be spending it on streets? Well, I'd have a couple different responses to that. Parks are important as well. But in this specific case, a large portion of the project is being paid for by grant money that was awarded the community through the Community Development Block Grant Program. And that money is specifically designated for quality of life projects like this park project. And so we compete for those funds against other communities, and we won in this instance, and we're going to make use of the money that we were awarded in helping elevate the quality of life and improving our community through, in this instance, Pocket Park in our downtown. And I think this project goes well with an upswing in downtown investment that you've seen from the private sector over the last few years, and will help in our efforts to create people attraction features in our downtown and a welcoming environment that in turn spurs new growth and new investment. And new growth, as we all know and are seeing in the community right now, helps everyone. It helps expand our tax base, and it helps us have a wider net of resources, so to speak, for community improvement projects, including streets and other infrastructure across the community. So I think this is an important project. Its time has come. It coincides well with the resurgence of downtown, and I think staff did a nice job of being creative and sensible in how it gets done, including now improvement of the alleyway. So any other questions or discussion on the River Point Square project?
I just wanted to
I'd
say.
add one more
it's
piece.
a great project.
Yeah, they do intend to get most of this done this year. Yeah.
Okay. Any idea, we've had this discussion before on bidding. You know, I was hoping with the alley, when we voted to add that, would have maybe brought in a bid from, I'm just trying to think of somebody who's paving a street right now in town. I don't know.
There's the good news is there's so much work going on here in town that they are pretty much strapped this year. We did open up the bid so that we were not requiring construction this fall, I don't remember the exact date, but we gave them into about midsummer of next year to complete the work. Again, the single bidder we did have intends to get most of that work done this fall. They know that they can't start till after September 3rd. But with the passing of this, should this pass, they will start work on their subcontracts right away. There were at least one other, and I believe there were two other contractors that the design engineer, Olson's, was engaged with through the bid process that was actively looking at it. In the end, they did not put a bid in. Okay. I know sitting there waiting for the bid opening, we were anticipating two more bids to come in the door. Why they didn't come in, I'm not exactly sure. The work is a little bit unique, which is why we did add the 3rd Street work, just trying to entice maybe somebody that was more of a flat street contractor to come in and bid it. But it's unique enough with the various little components that, it was a general contractor that ultimately provided a bid.
And my questions weren't to raise controversy, but just so the public is aware of where all the funding is coming from. So as the mayor says, we have an easier time explaining that. So it's going to be a good project for down there.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion, council? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Langy,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Clausen,
Yes.
File.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
Item 26, would look for a motion to consider approval of a letter agreement with River Oaks Communications Corporation for the Small Wireless Facilities Ordinance Project for an amount not to exceed $5,820.
Move consideration, Your Honor.
Second.
Motion second, and Steve, could you give some background on this, please?
Yes, Mayor and Council. For about 2 years now, staff has been engaged in the process of developing a small cell ordinance for the community. in light of the strong desire by some cell providers to get small cell into the community. We've been through 3 or 4 different options to get to the point that we're at. We are ready to bring that forward. It will be coming forward most likely here at the second meeting in August with the larger telecommunications ordinance. We've been engaged with a couple small cell carriers throughout this 2-year process. And before we bring it to council, this group had reached out to us. We've had conversation with these guys along the way. They are subject matter experts in the small cell world, and we think that it would be wise for us to engage at this point with this company just to get some feedback. Again, the small cell carriers have been providing us feedback, but they're looking at it from their side of the equation, and this is going to give us some subject matter expertise on our side of the equation in terms of the small cell ordinance and how to implement that. I know just recently in June, the Federal Communications put out some additional information that we're a little bit behind on, and so again, getting these guys to the table and bringing their expertise along will help make sure that our ordinance supports us and supports our community.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Any questions? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Langy,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Clausen,
Yes.
Pyle.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
Item 27. Look for a motion to consider authorization for staff to move forward with settlement of the Madison County District Court case, Maple Park Court LLC, and Michael A. Miller and Lori K. Miller versus City of Norfolk, which is an appeal of an eminent domain award for a recreation trail easement for a total amount of $110,000. And pursuant to that, I would now look for a motion to go into closed session for the protection of the public interest to discuss the potential settlement of pending litigation in the case Maple Park Court LLC and Michael A. Miller and Lori K. Miller versus City of Norfolk for a total amount of $110,000.
Your Honor, I'd make that motion.
Second that, Your Honor.
Okay, motion and second. And no discussion on this, so roll call, please.
Langy,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Clausen,
Yes.
Pyle.
No.
Voting in the affirmative, Langy, Weeblehouse, Murin, Jackson, Clausen. Voting in opposition, File. Motion carries.
Okay, so the motion carries. The closed session, again, is to discuss potential settlement of pending litigation in the case Maple Park Court LLC and Michael A. Miller, Lori K. Miller versus City of Norfolk for a total amount of $110,000. We will now enter into closed session.